Okay. Yeah, guys, would you close the windows in the back so you can get the lighting any better? Okay, so I want to go over this type of problem, mainly because this is what you guys had trouble with the most when we were going over things. This one, what's different about it is when you're finding RT, the last thing you do is find something in parallel. And that means we have to, when we go back through to find the current and voltage through R3, we have to do something different. And we'll just go through it again, hopefully it'll make sense. We start off the same way. So we start off by saying, that's a great start. R3 equals 13 ohms. What are we going to combine next?
R2, R3.
R2 and R3. And R3 is part of that, so we write it up here. So we got R23, and what's that equal? 19 ohms, so it's just 13 plus 6. Alright, what's next?
R2 through 4.
R2 through 4? Alright, and it's 1 over 19 plus 1 over 14, then take the reciprocal of that.
8.06.
Okay. Now, what's the next piece?
1 through 4.
1 through 4. You're going to have R1 through 4, 8.06 plus 24,
32.06.
32.06. Next thing we're going to find is RT. But before we find RT, we got to solve these branches over here. So we're going to do 5, 6. Is 3 a part of 5 and 6?
No.
No. So we're going to write that off to the side. So R 5, 6 is 10 plus 24 since they're in series, so that's 34 ohms. And then we're going to do 8 and 9. And what's 1 over 18 plus 1 over 7?
5.54.
5.54?
I got 5.04, so...
Me too. Yeah, I got 5.04. Brian, how are you doing?
We won't trust Brian then.
Actually, doing work today, guys.
And then
Go back to that.
R 7 through 9. 11 plus 5.04 is
16.04. Yes.
Okay. So now, since those three things are in parallel, we do the reciprocal thing. So we do R7 through 9, R5, 6, and R1 through 4 to get our total resistance.
You said 1 through 4, 5 through 6, and 7 through 9.
Yep.
In parallel.
In parallel.
8.13. Anyone? Valid? Hurry.
Trust your grind here.
Okay, thanks, Steve.
I suppose I have the answer. I know the answers are somewhere.
4.6.
What?
Nope.
Just kidding.
8.13.
Oh.
Yep.
0.13?
I did it wrong.
Yay.
That's not what I got.
I forgot to add one. Right.
Clearly you're deficient.
If you're in degree.
Okay.
I figured out what it is.
If you're in degree, then
Okay.
it's not the calculator.
Alright. So, we have RT. Usually what we do is then find IT. But since the last thing we did was combine them in parallel instead of in series, instead of finding IT, we are just going to find, or just going to write down, our voltage equals 36 volts.
And that's because the last thing we did was combine them in
Parallel. Correct. So since the last thing we did was combine them in parallel, we're just going to write down V equals 36 volts. And that's just the voltage of the battery over here. Okay. Now, so that's the voltage across this whole big parallel thing. And the voltage through each branch of that is 36 volts. So now, we want to deal with this top branch here, because that's where R3 is. So the voltage through that top branch is 36. Now we got to find the current through that top branch. So we're going to say 36 volts equals I, and that'd be 1 through 4, times R 1 through 4, which is 32.06 ohms. And I equals
1.12.
1.12. .12 amps. You're a champ, Brian.
Would you like a cookie?
He's got like 1 out of 4 today.
Okay, so now we have the current through the top branch. Now we need the voltage through R2 through 4. So the voltage drop across that one. So it's going to be voltage of 2 through 4 equals the current we just found, so 1.12 amps times 8.06 ohms.
9.05.
What was that like?
9.05.
9.05 volts. Okay, so that's the voltage drop across this parallel one. So that means it's 9.05 volts to the top, 9.05 volts to the bottom. So now we need to find the current through the top branch. And we're going to use V equals IR again. So we got 9.05 volts equals I for 2 and 3 times 19 ohms. And we get I23 0.48 amps. So that's the current through 2 and 3 because the current's the same in both. So is that one of our answers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's the current through R3 is that. And we gotta find the voltage through 3, so V through 3 equals that I, so 0.48 amps times 13 ohms. And we get, what is it?
6.19.
6.24.
Oh, there he is. Yep. I got 6.24.
Well, that's because Brian and I left it in our calculators.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody have questions on anything I did on this one?
Great mind thinks alike.
Okay.
Not like that.
So again, your test is Wednesday. If you guys have, I want you guys to look at the multiple choice tonight. We'll go over that stuff tomorrow. What would be ideal is if you don't understand why the answers to the multiple choice, like why number 10 isn't something, like why it's A instead of B, email me, cut and paste it and email me that question. Does that make sense? And then I'll just print off a sheet of everybody's questions and then we'll go over them as a class. Alright. Why don't you guys try doing the rest of this? I have the answers. They're somewhere around the room here. I also have them on my computer.
Takes so much time.
I have a question. Go on Edmodo and get.
But then, do we just use them?